My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubow. And have you ever wondered what it takes to go from buying your first property at $200,000 to moving into developments ranging in the 200 million range? Well, today on the show, I've got Andrea Warkentin from Red Deer, Alberta, doing a business across Alberta and BC, here to just, let us in on what it takes to go from 200 to 200 million. Andrea, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Bryce.
So tell me a little bit about your backstory. What got you into real estate investing in the first place?
Yes, so I'm actually from the Lower Mainland area of British Columbia. And when I graduated university, I became a police officer for the city of Vancouver, which I did for about 6 years before moving to Alberta to invest in real estate. So I actually became an accidental landlord for my first house that I bought in Port Coquitlam. And that's really when I got started as a landlord back in 2003. So I've been around for a while.
Mhm.
But, the whole reason to move to Alberta is back then it was basically the celebrated place to be, both because of oil going up back in 2006 when I moved here to Alberta. The economy was going, values were going up, and just a lot of prosperity. And it was really interesting to move from Vancouver area to little old Red Deer, which was at the time less than 100,000 people. And you could see the wealth because you would drive down the street and it's like every fourth or fifth house had like a holiday camper or quads or motorcycles or all that kind of stuff. So it really seemed to our family like it was the land of milk and honey. The cost of living is way less in Alberta than it certainly is in the Lower Mainland. And it seemed like a great opportunity. So my husband and I moved out to Red Deer in 2006 with a 2-month-old baby, and we never looked back.
Yeah, definitely. And the sales, I think the provincial tax is nothing, right?
That's correct.
So that helps a little bit at the grocery store too. So, you've done a bunch of different strategies. If you care to name them all, I mean, the main thing is, what do you like most about real estate?
Well, what I like most is it's about math. It's not about emotion. It's not about colors of carpets and things like that. But really, there's the ability to learn lots of different strategies and to grow. And I'm a lifelong learner. So to me, that was really attractive. So I started out with long-term buy and hold properties, some value add properties, which back then we did not refer to as BRRRRs, but that's exactly what they were. And just moving through that, once we ran out of our own money, then partnering, doing joint ventures with people who had money, but little or no experience in real estate. Then moving on to seller financing as well. So I did a tremendous amount of seller financing deals, which we call agreements for sale, and pairing those with rent to owns on the back end, because we did a lot of single family houses that way. And then moving through that to do the occasional flip property and eventually transitioning to multifamily and also land development.
So it's always easy to talk about what you like, but what maybe isn't so great about real estate investing for you?
Well, I no longer manage rental properties. So at one point I did get my property management license and I was managing my own plus other people's properties. So tenants and toilets are kind of a thankless job. And I like to call it adult daycare at best, depending on, the type of portfolio you're managing. If you're doing a lot of lower income housing, that type of thing. Where people don't necessarily have good problem solving strategies and can't get along with their neighbors. So I do not miss that part of it at all. So I actually don't manage my own properties anymore either. And, at one point I also became a realtor too. So, which I, never thought I would ever become a realtor. But anyhow, so I'm licensed in Alberta, both residential and commercial, and I solely work with investors and
Mm-hmm.
help them buy and sell. But really, that's not like my full-time gig. That's just something I kind of do on the side because I'm still buying and selling for myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that kind of led me to doing different things. And I wouldn't say that I'm like a super passionate realtor either, because
Mm-hmm.
again, it's more like a side gig for me. But yeah, I think tenants and toilets is probably the least fun part of real estate investing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's passive income though, right? That's what they said. That's what they told us. That's what the seminar said. But I mean, it
Yeah,
can be, you could have a tenant in a single family home for a few years and they never say nothing.
yeah,
And then they move out and you find out why they didn't say anything. It's because they just didn't say anything. But the truth of the matter is that the downstairs toilet hasn't worked in 2 years because XYZ.
yeah.
But it's sometimes they just move out and it looks more or less like when they moved in.
Hmm.
Maybe there's a live, laugh, love decal on the bedroom wall, but that's about it. And um, so when you look at it, 2 decades in real estate here, when it comes to real estate investing, what would you think your secret sauce is? What comes easy to you that other people might find difficult to do?
Well, part of my personality is I'm an action taker. So
Mm,
if I have like 60% of the information, I'll make a decision based on that 60%. Doesn't always mean that I'm right,
hmm.
but more often than not. So I have the ability to quickly make a decision and understanding more complicated pro formas and that type of thing. And I really love negotiating deals and putting creative strategies into play.
So yeah, I mean, especially as things are changing on the interest rate side, creative financing is becoming more and more important to, maybe you could save a rate and renew it in a couple of years if they have a decent rate. So when you look at the future, where do you want to go in the next 12 months with the current portfolio? Because we were mentioning a little bit at the top, you're into some development deals.
Yeah. So essentially, what I'm doing right now for my own personal portfolio, which is mostly in the central Alberta region, is I'm basically transitioning my portfolio to all multifamily. So I'm disposing of anything that's a fourplex and smaller and
Mm-hmm.
just rolling everything into multifamily. So whether it's existing buildings, we're also doing a motel conversion project, which is another way to source multifamily. And that kind of falls into part of the land development that we're doing. But also with land development, I mean, there's a lot to learn. There's a big difference between just doing an infill or doing a new build 8-suiter on a corner lot
Mm-hmm.
compared to actually having like 50 or 80 acres and going through all the processes to change zoning and density
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then putting all the servicing in and then building the housing and selling. So
Yeah.
in land development, there's all sorts of subsections of that as well, and some of it takes multi years and some of it can be done much quicker.
Yeah. Especially, there's with these larger projects, are you taking advantage of the government funding to get these things off the ground, or have these things been in the works before the MLI Select program?
Yeah, so for some of the projects that we're working on, we are using MLI Select because they are specifically multifamily projects. My large land development project in Cranbrook is resale. It's not rental product. So for that, it's completely different financing. But,
Hmm.
I was very happy to get my certificate of insurance the other day for a property I have here in central Alberta. And we had really good interest rates, 4.5%, 50-year amortization. How do you say
Hmm.
no to that, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So what are you doing right now to raise funds for these deals? Because that's, we're not talking about $200,000 anymore. So what are you
Yeah.
doing to kind of raise money for the deals? How are you funding your deals these days?
So about a year and a half ago, with the assistance of a security lawyer and a whole back end team, we set up our own mutual fund trust. So we've been raising capital for our Cranbrook project, our motel conversion project, an Edmonton apartment building that we purchased, as well as a Vernon multifamily new build that we're doing. And those are all separate offerings through the mutual fund trust. And we have an exempt market dealer on some of those offerings as
Mm-hmm.
well. So there's a lot of registered funds available out there where people want to earn a safe, secure return on investment. And so we really tapped into the registered funds market. But what it
Mm-hmm.
requires is a lot of Zoom calls like we're having right now to explain what the opportunity is, a lot of phone calls. There's a lot of paperwork involved. There's a lot of costs involved. So when you're using a mutual fund trust to raise capital, the deals really have to be large enough to absorb not only the upfront cost, but all the ongoing costs behind the scenes. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, we have a company that manages the whole back end of everything. So they do all the paperwork, the T5s and T3s to investors. They help people open up their accounts at Olympia Trust or Western Pacific. So, it's a much larger vehicle. So you need much larger deals to make it worth it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's there's a lot of opportunity, I think, within the program and within the registered retirements within Canada because people have been using that as a primary tool for retirement. And if you can access it without having to deplete your thing and you can grow it maybe more aggressively than the bank can, then I can't, that definitely makes sense as to why people would want to put that to work in a different way. Now, um, what are you doing to get more awareness around this? Because it's not something that you can necessarily I suppose you cannot definitely put it in the newspaper and things like that. But as it is registered now, does that make it easier or harder, would you say?
Yeah, so part of the beautiful thing about a mutual fund trust is it does allow you to publicly market.
There you go.
You're best to have an exempt market dealer. So, again, there's now an additional cost to that. And a lot of exempt market dealers actually have their own clientele that they will market your deal to as well. But what I do is I basically leverage my network on Facebook and different groups, real estate groups that I'm a part of, or events that
Hmm.
I go to. And it's a lot about creating relationship, and it's an ongoing relationship over the years. So that's kind of what I've done to raise money so far, is to basically leverage my existing network and then join new networks to leverage those networks. So you can do things like people have probably seen on their Facebook feed, different ads for other mutual fund trusts. A lot of the big boys in Toronto have those
Hmm.
ads going. And really, unless somebody actually knows me, they have to be what's called an accredited investor. And
Hmm.
so that is like an absolute, they have to be accredited. There's a process they go through with the exempt market dealer to confirm their status, because we have to follow all the government rules for securities when we're using these types of vehicles. So it's
Hmm.
very important to have all this due diligence stuff along the way.
Yeah, definitely. And securities will make sure that you're doing it that way. They do not they're on top of it. Let's just say they're on top of it. So if you're not doing it properly, they're on top of you. Um, Are you a find the deal and then the money sort of player, or do you prefer to, in the game of real estate, have the capital lined up and then go, looking for deals?
Yeah, I've always been more deal forward than money forward. But again, that's part of my personality, is when I see
Hmm.
something good, I just take action on it, and then I figure out how to make a go of it. So, one of the nice things too about once you have a structure like this up and running, when you pay people out on an offering, you can offer them the opportunity to roll into your next investment. So the idea is really to build strong relationships with investors so that when you pay them back, that they want
Hmm.
to invest in the next investment.
Stay
But,
on and continue going.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other important thing is that with some of these offerings, I'm actually partnering with people who are the working partner, and my job is to bring in the registered funds money. And so, because as a general partner or working partner, you only have so many hours in the day. So I can't focus on like 5 or 10 different projects, but I'm always raising capital. It's something that I do every week is I have conversations with people. And so that's really what my strength is building relationships, raising capital, and then partnering with people who have the skills and abilities to move things forward.
To execute the deals. Now, for people to invest the significant capital you're looking for, they need to fall into the like, know, trust kind of framework that helps people feel comfortable with investing. What do you do for those sorts of things on your social that allows you to, acquire more people to invest in these deals?
Yes, well, my social media is not very strong, I'll be honest. Yeah, so I think having people help you with that can sometimes be a good thing. I think because I've been around for so long and I've helped teach real estate creative strategies in different cities across Canada with a guy named Barry McGuire, who's a real estate lawyer out of Edmonton. And so he puts on these courses, and I'm one of his guest speakers and have been for the past 10 years. So there's a certain amount of people that may know who I am. And that's the other important thing about expanding your network is really about building relationships, getting to know people, doing public speaking at some of these various events. But we also have an open door policy. So like at our Cranbrook project there, we've had a tremendous amount of people stop by and ask for tours or stay overnight at our house out there and really get to know what the project is. Some of them before they've invested, some of them, after they've already invested. And so I think having that kind of transparency and that kind of policy, you can come see it, you can touch it. And same thing for some of our projects here in Alberta. If somebody wants to go meet me at the motel conversion, it's only an hour away. I can do that. If they want to walk it with their own 2 feet, let's go do that.
Great. Now, if people want to find out more and connect with you about these projects that you're working on, what should they do? How do they find you?
Well, I'm pretty easy to find between being a realtor and having a presence on Facebook. They can easily find me on Facebook, and they can easily Google my name. They'll come up with my phone number. So it's pretty easy for people to track me down. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by. And, I think what people can take away the most out of this episode is just that, 2 decades and a 10, is that 10x or 100x from 200 to 200 million? I think it's 100x. Possible.
Yeah.
You just got to keep on it and slow and steady and learn what you don't like. You've done most of the strategies and figured out, I don't like these things. I like these things. Let's do more of what I like to do. So yeah, I really appreciate you stopping by, Andrea.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.